In the midst of a world that never stops moving, we often find ourselves caught in routines that endlessly repeat. Work, responsibilities, and social pressures come and go, keeping us busy from morning to night. In all this busyness, we rarely take the time to pause and ask ourselves, what do we really know? What is truly important in life? We often feel the need to keep moving, to keep achieving new things, whether in our careers, relationships, or personal accomplishments. But beneath all of that, have we ever stopped to question the meaning behind these goals? Do these achievements really bring us long-lasting happiness? Or are we simply following the path set by external expectations? As time changes quickly and technology advances, many of us feel that life is becoming busier, but at the same time, a quiet emptiness starts to emerge. We're busy, but it doesn't always feel meaningful. In those rare, quiet moments, when we're not consumed by daily tasks, we often find ourselves facing an existential question. What is truly important in my life? Why am I doing all of this? It's in these moments of silence, which we rarely experience, that we start to realize that much of what we're chasing might not be things that truly hold deep meaning. We chase success, fame, or wealth because that's what modern society tells us we should do. But do any of those things really bring us the inner fulfillment we're searching for? This question, although simple, is one of the most profound we can ask ourselves. The question isn't just about what we are doing, but why we are doing it. And in the search for answers to this question, we may discover a path to a more meaningful life, one not defined by what is expected of us from the outside, but by what truly matters to us from within. We live in a world filled with countless expectations, whether they come from ourselves or the people around us. Every day, we face pressures to be successful, to find happiness, and to remain constantly productive. Success is often measured by achievements, social status, and the material things we own. Happiness is typically tied to personal accomplishments, perfect relationships, or a lifestyle that appears ideal in the eyes of others. Meanwhile, productivity seems to have become the yardstick for our self-worth, where time is only valuable if it's spent producing something tangible or measurable. Yet, despite how important these things seem and how worth pursuing they appear, many of us, when truly honest with ourselves, feel a sense of emptiness amid all the achievements. Behind the smile of success, behind the pile of accomplishments and progress we take pride in, there is often a void that's hard to explain. We follow the path laid out for us, chasing goals that are seen as benchmarks of happiness and fulfillment. But in the end, do they really bring true happiness? Deep down, some of us start to realize that perhaps these expectations aren't as crucial as we once thought. We begin to question the real value of the success we chase, the endless productivity, and the happiness that is measured by external standards. After everything we've achieved, is this truly what we want? Are these accomplishments enough to give us the meaning we seek in life? Sometimes, we wake up in the middle of the night feeling unsatisfied, even though to others, it seems like we have it all. Success, happiness, and productivity, the three pillars celebrated by modern society, begin to feel hollow when we confront the deeper questions about the meaning of life. Do these things really lead us to inner peace, or are we simply chasing shadows we can never fully grasp? In the end, a quiet realization begins to surface from within us, a recognition that perhaps there are deeper, more important things that have been overlooked. The expectations imposed on us from the outside don't always reflect what we truly need or want. And maybe what truly matters isn't how much we achieve, but how deeply we understand ourselves and what genuinely gives our lives meaning. This feeling is neither unfamiliar nor new. In fact, it has existed since humanity first began contemplating the meaning of life and our place in the world. For centuries, philosophers, scholars, and great thinkers have tried to understand the mystery of human existence. They have asked, what is the purpose of life? Why are we here? And if life has no clear meaning, how should we live it? These questions have been the foundation of many great philosophical traditions throughout history, particularly through the lens of Stoicism and Nihilism. Stoicism, which originated in ancient Greece, arose as a response to the uncertainty and helplessness humans feel in the face of fate. Stoic philosophers like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius emphasize the importance of accepting the things we cannot control, such as death, suffering, and change, and focusing instead on self-discipline and personal virtue. For the Stoics, the meaning of life doesn't come from external achievements, but from our ability to maintain inner peace and moral integrity in the face of life's challenges. On the other hand, nihilism emerged as a response to the failure to find universal meaning in life. Popularized by philosophers like Friedrich Nietzsche, nihilism argues that there is no intrinsic meaning in life, that the values we hold, the goals we pursue, and the meaning we create are simply human constructs, which ultimately have no absolute foundation in the universe. This perspective can be unsettling for many, as it reveals that there are no cosmic rules or fixed purposes guiding our lives. For centuries, these two perspectives have been in dialogue, often opposing and sometimes intersecting, as they attempt to answer the existential paradox. If life has no clear meaning, how should we live? Stoic philosophers found peace in accepting fate and focusing on individual virtue, while nihilists confronted the absence of meaning with courage and the belief that, even if life may be empty, we can still create our own values. These ideas remain relevant today, and are perhaps even more pronounced in our modern world, which is full of uncertainty and complexity. Amidst rapid technological advancements and social change, these existential questions continue to haunt many of us. How do we find meaning in a world that feels increasingly complicated and pressured? How do we navigate life when, fundamentally, nothing seems certain or holds lasting significance? The philosophies of Stoicism and Nihilism offer two very different approaches to responding to this emptiness and uncertainty. Though they come from different eras, both still resonate clearly with how we, as modern humans, can face these challenges and reflect on how we can find or create meaning in our own lives. Stoicism teaches us that while many things in life are beyond our control, such as external circumstances, natural events, or other people's behavior, there is one thing that always remains within our grasp: how we respond. This is the core of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that in facing life's uncertainties, where we have no control over what happens around us, our true power lies in how we choose to react to those situations. Imagine life as being in the middle of a great storm. We cannot stop the rain, the wind, or the lightning, but we can choose whether we will run for shelter or stand firm and accept that the storm is unavoidable. This is where Stoicism reveals its profound mental strength, that even though we cannot change the world outside of us, we can change how we perceive it. Stoic philosophers like Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most influential Stoic teachers, taught that happiness and inner peace are not determined by external events, but by how we choose to interpret those events. According to him, suffering doesn't come from the events that happen to us, but from our interpretation of those events. While we may not be able to avoid physical pain or life's difficulties, we have full control over how those things affect our emotional and mental state. This fundamental Stoic principle is especially relevant in today's world, which is filled with pressure. In a world where we often feel powerless in the face of circumstances, whether it's problems at work, conflicts in relationships, or even global events that directly affect our lives, Stoicism offers a guide to remain calm and focused on what is truly within our control. Instead of being trapped in frustration or anxiety over things we cannot change, Stoicism encourages us to direct our energy toward what we can control: our reactions, decisions, and actions. We may not be able to control economic downturns, but we can control how we manage our personal finances and make wise spending choices. We cannot control the weather, but we can choose whether to complain about it or use it as an opportunity to enrich our life experiences. We cannot avoid death or loss, but we can choose to respond to it with wisdom and acceptance. recognizing that life is temporary and change is a natural part of our journey. In Stoicism, true power doesn't come from controlling the external world, but from mastering ourselves. When we stop trying to control what is beyond our reach and start focusing on controlling ourselves, we discover inner peace and freedom. How we respond to events is what determines how we live our lives. We always have the power to choose our response, even in the most difficult times. On the other hand, nihilism offers a more radical perspective, and for some, it may be harder to accept. Nihilism suggests that life, at its core, may not have any inherent meaning. This means that everything we do, our efforts, achievements, hopes, and dreams, may ultimately hold no significance or larger purpose in the grand scheme of the universe. From the nihilist viewpoint, life can be seen as a series of random events without intrinsic meaning or clear direction. Nihilism, as a philosophical movement, is often associated with Friedrich Nietzsche, a German philosopher best known for his statement that God is dead. This phrase reflects the belief that the moral foundations and traditional values that once gave life meaning have collapsed, leaving us with a sense of emptiness and meaninglessness. Without the guidance of religion, absolute morality, or universal principles, nihilism argues that we exist in a universe that, on a cosmic level, is indifferent to our existence. To a nihilist, human achievements, no matter how significant they may seem in a cultural or individual context, are little more than small events occurring in the vast expanse of time. Whatever we do, whether we build a successful career, create beautiful art, or form meaningful relationships, will eventually be forgotten as time moves forward. From the nihilistic perspective, everything we do is just part of the universe's cycle, without any ultimate purpose. However, nihilism is not simply about pessimism. It is more than the belief that life lacks meaning. It is the recognition that, on a larger scale, the universe does not automatically provide meaning to our lives. We are born, we live, we die, and perhaps, in the nihilist view, there is no cosmic reason behind any of it. We are merely small particles in the vast ocean of time and space, with no inherent direction. This can feel very unsettling to many, as the idea that life has no meaning can lead to a sense of despair. If life has no greater purpose, why bother doing anything at all? Why work hard, love, or even take care of ourselves if in the end it will all be meaningless? Nihilism, when deeply understood, can provoke profound feelings of uncertainty. Yet, some philosophers and thinkers believe that nihilism also offers freedom. If life has no predetermined meaning, then we are also free from the burden of meeting certain external standards or goals. We are free to create our own meaning, to live life in a way that we find meaningful, even if that meaning is temporary or only relevant to us as individuals. Although nihilism may seem grim on the surface, it actually opens up space for deeper reflection on what truly matters to us. If there is no universal meaning, we are given the freedom to set our own values and goals. We can choose to find meaning in the small things, such as personal relationships, acts of kindness, or even simple life experiences. Amidst the uncertainty that nihilism presents, there is an opportunity to find existential freedom. By accepting that nothing is truly important on a grand scale, we can embrace life more fully, without being trapped by the illusion that we must achieve something eternal or transcendent. Perhaps, it is in this very emptiness that we find the room to create our own meaning. If you've ever felt this, like life sometimes lacks clear meaning, or that your daily achievements and busyness don't bring deep satisfaction, you're not alone. In fact, in our fast-paced modern world, this feeling is likely more common than we realize. We live in an era where everything moves so quickly, where information flows non-stop, and where expectations pile up, creating pressure to always be doing something, yet rarely do we have the time to pause and reflect. Today's world is filled with constant demands and pushes for productivity, to always aim for something bigger, higher, more impressive. Everywhere we turn, we're faced with standards of success set by society, social media, and even ourselves. But behind all this busyness, more and more people are beginning to feel empty, as if they are constantly running in a race that never ends, without really knowing why they're running in the first place. This sense of emptiness or loss of meaning isn't experienced by just a few. It's become a global phenomenon, especially in the modern era. With growing social pressure, economic uncertainty, and the bombardment of information through digital media, we are constantly comparing ourselves to others. We see the seemingly perfect lives of others on social media, and without realizing it, we begin to question the value of our own lives. We start to feel that what we're doing isn't enough, or that we're falling behind in a race we never chose to join. Even in societies that seem highly advanced, with all the technological conveniences and material comforts, more people are experiencing feelings of alienation. They feel disconnected from the deeper sense of meaning that may have once existed in their lives. The sense of connection that was once built through community, family, or shared values is now often replaced by a life focused on individual achievement. As a result, many of us, even those who appear successful on the surface, feel emotionally empty. This is made worse by the fact that we live in such a fast-paced era, where we're rarely given the chance to truly stop, breathe, and reflect on the direction of our lives. We're too busy with routines, work, and everyday distractions that time for introspection or reflection is often neglected. This creates a cycle where we're constantly busy, but never truly feel satisfied or connected to something greater than ourselves. So, if you've ever felt that despite working hard, meeting all external demands, and achieving success, you still feel empty, know that you are not alone. This is a very common experience in our world today, and many people struggle with the same questions. What is all this for? Does my life have deeper meaning beyond just meeting the expectations and demands of others? This feeling is a reflection of the fragmented reality of the modern world, where life's meaning no longer automatically comes from traditional institutions or values as it once did. However, it can also be an opportunity for us to search for and create our own meaning, one that is more personal, more authentic, and more relevant to who we are as individuals. If you've ever felt this way, like life sometimes lacks meaning, or that despite your efforts, there's a deep sense of dissatisfaction, you are far from alone. In fact, in today's fast-paced modern world, these feelings are more common than ever. Many people, regardless of their outward success, feel overwhelmed by a sense of emptiness or wonder if they're truly living a life with purpose. As our lives become more intertwined with constant demands and distractions, it's easy to feel lost. The pressure to always be productive, to achieve more, to keep up with social expectations, can make it difficult to pause and reflect on whether any of it truly brings us happiness. This leads to a growing disconnect between what we're told we should want, success, wealth, status, and what we actually feel inside. The modern world moves at a relentless pace. We're constantly bombarded with information, news, and social media updates, creating an environment where we're expected to always be on, always working towards the next goal, the next promotion, or the next milestone. But in the midst of all this hustle, many of us find ourselves questioning the meaning behind it all. Why are we doing this? What is the ultimate purpose? Feeling like you're running on a treadmill without an end in sight is an experience shared by many. The expectations placed upon us by society, work, and even ourselves often lead to a sense of being trapped in a cycle of never-ending tasks. We're doing everything we're supposed to do, yet it doesn't always lead to the fulfillment or peace of mind we were promised. These feelings are more widespread than you might think, even in a world filled with technology and opportunities, where everything seems possible. More and more people are grappling with this internal conflict. In fact, it's not uncommon to feel like you're navigating life with no clear direction, despite appearances suggesting otherwise. In this age of rapid advancement, when everything seems to be moving forward at breakneck speed, it's important to recognize that this sense of disconnection is not unusual. Many of us are experiencing the same existential uncertainty, and it's something that's becoming increasingly prevalent in a world where there is constant pressure to keep moving without ever stopping to ask, why? We chase achievements, reach milestones, and pursue happiness. But are these things truly fulfilling, or are they simply distractions? In our quest to have it all, we set ambitious goals, striving to hit every marker of success defined by society. We want to build careers, acquire wealth, and craft an image of happiness that's polished and impressive. But beneath the surface, we must ask ourselves, are these pursuits genuinely leading us to fulfillment, or are they merely keeping us busy? It's easy to get caught up in the momentum of modern life, ticking off boxes of accomplishment one by one. We earn degrees, climb corporate ladders, buy houses, travel to exotic locations, all while projecting an image of success and contentment. Yet, how often do we stop to consider whether these achievements are bringing us closer to true happiness? Is our pursuit of goals enriching our lives, or are we merely distracted by the constant need to move forward? There's nothing inherently wrong with setting goals or celebrating milestones. These things can provide structure and purpose to our lives. But the question arises, do these accomplishments bring us lasting joy and contentment, or do they temporarily mask deeper feelings of dissatisfaction? When the excitement of a promotion fades, or the novelty of a new purchase wears off, do we find ourselves still yearning for something more? At times, it can feel as though we're running on a treadmill, constantly moving, always chasing the next goal, but never quite arriving at a place of genuine peace or fulfillment. We convince ourselves that if we just achieve the next thing or reach the next milestone, then we'll finally feel happy, complete. But happiness often proves elusive, slipping away the moment we think we've caught it. Could it be that many of the things we chase are simply distractions from confronting deeper questions about our purpose? Are we, perhaps, avoiding the uncomfortable truth that no amount of success or external validation can truly satisfy the inner longing for meaning? In a world that emphasizes constant progress and achievement, we risk losing sight of what truly matters to us on a deeper, more personal level. It's worth asking ourselves whether our pursuits are aligned with our true desires and values, or whether they're just keeping us occupied, preventing us from reflecting on what really brings us joy and fulfillment. We often assume that more success or more milestones will bring us closer to happiness, but maybe the key lies not in achieving more, but in understanding what we genuinely need to feel whole. If nothing really matters, why do we keep moving forward? Why do we wake up in the morning? Why do we keep trying? This question may have crossed our minds when we feel stuck in routine, or when the goals we've been chasing seem to lose their meaning. When life seems like a series of random events without a final purpose, it's natural to wonder, what's the point of it all? Yet, even though we don't always find a grand meaning behind every action, we still wake up each morning and live our lives. Perhaps it's not because we found a definitive answer, but because we continue to hope that something valuable lies ahead. It might be out of habit, but more often than not, there's something deeper that drives us. Maybe it's our desire to feel happiness, to pursue dreams, or even just to experience small moments that bring us a sense of satisfaction and peace. Sometimes, we move forward not because we believe in a greater purpose, but because we want to keep experiencing life. Each day is a new opportunity to search, experiment, and experience. Even though we're not always sure why we try, there's something inside us that pushes us to keep going. Whether it's curiosity, love, or the desire to grow, we keep striving. Perhaps the reason we continue to wake up each morning and try is that, as humans, we have an instinct to survive and thrive. We know that life isn't always easy, but we still have hope. Hope that behind every challenge, there's something to learn or something to achieve. And while we might not find grand meaning in every step, we can still find value in the small moments, like a smile from someone we love or a personal accomplishment that brings us pride. In the end, maybe the question isn't why do we keep going, but rather, how do we find meaning in what we do, even if there's no preordained meaning? Perhaps it's not the grand meaning we need to seek, but the small values we create for ourselves every day, in our relationships, in our work, or even in the simple things that make life worthwhile. Nihilism might lead us to question the value of everything we do, whether there's any true purpose in life, or if we're simply drifting along in a meaningless flow. When we view life through the lens of nihilism, it can feel like all our efforts and struggles have no inherent meaning in the grand scheme of the universe. This sense of emptiness